Welcome back. So, as some of you may know, yesterday was Rheinmetall's Foundation Day, and in honor of that, Enlisted came out with a premium squad that occasionally pops into the store. Usually it's like, I think once a year for this sort of thing. I think it's come back in some of the sales in the past as well, so it's not impossible to get, but it's only around for a limited time, and that is the MG30 squad. So, it's an interesting squad. It is one of the legacy premium squads. So what you're getting with it are 4 machine gunners, and you're getting 1 engineer that you can add on, and he can be equipped like any other engineer. Per the description of the unit, they're the 478th Infantry Regiment of the 258th Infantry Division, or vice versa. The division was formed on August 26, 1939. They took part in the Polish campaign, the French campaign, and Barbarossa, and since autumn of 41, they've been taking active part in Operation Typhoon. Originally, this was a Moscow squad, and they come in at BR2. So, what are they? How do they perform? Who do they compete with? BR2 for Germany actually has reasonable competition for your machine guns, at least compared to some of the other factions. The Russians, for example, they really just have the Madsen, but if you played Stalingrad back in the day, they have captured Berettas. The Americans, they have Vickers, and, well, actually, they moved the American texture around a bit, but before they had the Vickers Berthier and the Bren Mark 1, I think they have the Bren Mark 2 at BR2 now as well, but effectively all three of those guns essentially do the same thing. And then, I think Japan, they only have like 1, maybe 2 BR2 machine guns. I guess they've got 2, I guess the Type 97 is BR2 as well. For Germany, they have the MG13, which is probably the closest comparison to the MG30. They have the Breda Mod 30, and then they also have the Battle Pass Lati-Saloranta, which is a Finnish light machine gun that it's very reminiscent of the Bar. So, I played 2 squads for this. I played the premium squad with the MG30s, and then I played one premium squad, or not premium, one tech tree machine gun squad, where one guy had an MG13, one had a Breda Mod 30, and one had a Lati-Saloranta, just so I could switch between them and, kind of give an example of each weapon. So by the stats, the MG30, well, I guess we'll start with its description, is a classic example of an automatic weapon with an air-cooled, quick-detachable barrel. Has a fairly good layout with a linear stock and slide magazine with 25 rounds. So at 10 meters it's doing 13.2, 11.9 at 100. Shoots at 630 rounds a minute with a reload of 2.6 and 2416 recoil with a 25 round magazine, and it can actually be swapped into semi-auto. Now, by comparison, if we look at a fully upgraded MG13, we're looking at 13.2 damage, 11.9 at 100, 660 rounds a minute, 2.6 reload, 2820 recoil, 25 round magazine. So, just looking at it there, the recoil stats are a little bit better. The fire rate, the bullet, the reload, they're all more or less the same. So it isn't a huge stretch or a huge change from what you're already going to be able to get in a normal machine gun squad with MG13s. If you've used the MG13 before, you pretty much know what you're getting into. Now, by comparison, if you look at the Breda Mod 30, you're getting 13.2 and 11.9 for your damage. So, again, kind of in the same ballpark. You're getting 530 rounds a minute, which is slower. You're getting 2.7 reload, which is slower. You're getting 3322 recoil with a 20 round magazine. So, on paper, the Breda is pretty much worse in every way. The bullet performs the same, but you're shooting slower, you're reloading slower, you hold less bullets. It also weighs 10 kilos. I didn't look at the weight of the other ones, but I imagine that they're lighter. At least in game they feel lighter. No, I guess I'm wrong. The MG13 is 13 kilos, and the MG30 is 10 kilos, so about the same as the Beretta. And then if we look at the Latisaloranta, mind you, this is a battle pass weapon, so not everybody's going to have access to it. You need gold orders to get them. It's doing the same damage as the other machine guns. It shoots at 500 rounds a minute. It reloads in 2 seconds, which is noticeably faster than all of the other offerings. The recoil is 43-18 with the 20-round magazine, and it weighs 10 kilos. In-game performance-wise, the Latisaloranta basically is like using a bar. I think it feels like it's got more recoil than a bar. But it's actually not a terrible machine gun. Especially if you're firing it on semi-auto. It's pretty comfortable. Now, the MG30 squad, you're going to get an extra machine gunner than what you would get in a standard tech tree machine gun squad. In a tech tree machine gun squad, though, you're going to get more specialists. So, it kind of just depends on what you're looking for. I think for most people, most of the time, running with the MG13 is going to be the play. I don't necessarily think you're missing out on anything by not picking up this squad. In a lot of ways, I think the most interesting aspect of it is their uniforms, because they do come with these like powder blue early war Wehrmacht uniforms. And that's actually what made me originally get it back in the day. I saw them and was like, wow, that's kind of neat. You don't see that every day in Enlisted. And being like a low BR squad, I don't know what they cost right now because I have them and I can't look, but they should be relatively affordable. If I had to guess, they're probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like 1,600, maybe 2,000 gold. But that's just me spitballing a guess. I'm sure somebody will correct me in the comments. As far as their in-game performance goes, on paper, they do look like they're better than the MG13. In reality, they feel very similar. Like, the difference in recoil is only a few points, so I'm not sure that it really makes a huge difference. Especially once you start slapping recoil perks on. The main issue that I run into with them, and this is for the MG13 as well, both guns feel like they could almost fill the role of an early assault rifle. The problem is that light machine guns have a dispersion debuff in Enlisted, so if you're moving, they become noticeably less accurate. So, even though it feels like the kind of weapon you should be able to just walk around and shoot with, in reality, you kind of can't. Like, you can hip-fire it and clear a building pretty easily, but you're gonna get yourself into trouble if you're trying to, like, run around and treat it like a Sturmgewehr. So, in my experience, most of the time, if you're gonna use the gun, you're better off just stopping before you shoot, and you can start shooting before you stop, but like, I would stop moving and try to be as stationary as I can be to use it. It is a BR2 light machine gun, so like, it's understandable that there are some drawbacks to it. To be honest, I kind of wish that this whole dispersion when moving thing was limited to the heavier machine guns. So think like your 1919 or like your MG34, you know, things that are like big, bulky, belt fed. I think the issue, and like why I notice it more with something like the MG13, is like the MG13 is not a very big gun. It's got like a full-length barrel, but it's shorter than, say, the MG13, and it feels like it should be really portable. The problem is, performance-wise, it doesn't feel very portable because you start shooting while you're walking, and suddenly you shoot a circle around the guy. It's like those like cartoons, those comedy movies where somebody shoots at somebody and they just shoot a silhouette around the guy. And to be honest, that feels really bad when that happens. The other downside to this squad is that they don't get an engineer that uses the same weapon as them, so inherently they have less value than other newer machine gun squads. All of the modern machine gun squads will have an engineer that uses the same gun as everybody else. So if you look at, say, the premium MG42 squad, they feel like they have a lot of value because there's no other way to get 5 light machine guns in a squad, and having 5 light machine guns in a squad can be very, very potent. The problem with a squad like this is you can already get 3 light machine guns in a squad normally, and then you're also getting like 3 specialists, and because they're normally 7-man squads for machine gunners, and I don't know, man. I feel like having 4 light machine guns in a normal engineer doesn't really make up the difference of having a 7-man squad and having like 3 specialists. Like, I feel like having 2 more light machine guns, like you would in a modern premium light machine gun squad, I think in that case, I think they're about equal in value, or equal in like power. I think having 4, it's just a step down. I know it isn't a huge difference, so it obviously wasn't enough to stop me from getting them back in the day, but it's just something to be aware of. As far as how I outfit them, I gave them all Walther PPKs. They're just cheap pistols, and I like everybody to have a pistol. They have large backpacks that they came with. They have 4 med kits. They have an explosive pack. They have AP mines, and they have flasks. The engineer has a pre-war Car 98, a small backpack. I could probably give him a large backpack. I just haven't edited the squad in a while. And then he has basically everything else the same as everybody else. There is merit to giving them ammo packs, but to be honest, their ammo count doesn't feel awful. They have 25 round magazines, and they have 75 rounds in reserve. So, there with about 100 rounds, you've got essentially 4 full loads, so it's not awful. If you don't want to build an ammo box, it could make sense to give them ammo bags. I don't know, it's your preference. I find that these guys tend to not go through all their ammo before they get killed. I think if their guns were a little bit more accurate, then maybe I would give them more. But I think because they aren't very accurate while you're moving, I probably put myself in riskier positions than I probably should. And because of that, I don't think my guys survive long enough to make use of all of their ammo. So, it's more of a me issue. It's just something to be aware of, and an option. So, they're pretty neat. They're available right now. They'll only be available for a few days, but I figured I would let you know my take on them. If you're on the fence, I would just stick with what you've got in the tech tree, because, to be honest, I think what you've got in the tech tree is probably better. But if you want a unique squad that looks kind of cool, their gun's not bad, this isn't a bad squad to pick up. They're not going to do poorly. They're pretty average. So I don't think you'll be particularly disappointed with them. But let me know what you think down below. If you have them, let me know what you like about them. How do you think they compare to the other guns? Personally, just for coolness factor, I think the Lati Salaranta is my favorite light machine gun at this BR. Although I know it's not the most effective. But, yeah, let me know. You think the MG13 is good enough that it's not worth fussing over the MG30? I tend to lean in that direction, but I don't know. I think they're cool. I think they look cool. As per usual, get out there, kick ass, kick games, and win your games.